The words echoed like a war drum across the great tribunal chamber aboard the Imperator Salus, the largest warship in the Galactic Empire's fleet. Its obsidian walls glowed with ancient sigils, and the air smelled faintly of ozone and oil, a place designed to intimidate, not inspire. General Exorthal stood at the dais, towering over the assembly in his ornate carapace armor, dark red with streaks of bone white. His four eyes glared coldly at the representatives of the Galactic Concord. When he spoke, his voice resonated through the chamber's amplification grid like a thunderclap. "You humans are cowards," he repeated, this time slower, each syllable deliberate. "Soft, sentimental, emotionally unstable. You break under pressure and beg for mercy. You are unfit for war, unfit for the stars." A low murmur rippled through the delegates. Hundreds of species, each with their own opinions of Earth and its people. Some looked away, others nodded grimly. Earth's ambassador, Dane Voss, rose from his seat, fists clenched behind his back. He was tall, well-groomed, but the fatigue showed in his eyes. "General, with all due respect, humanity has bled more in the past 2 years of this war than most species have in a century." Exorthal let out a guttural laugh. "Bled? Yes. Fought? Barely. You die in droves because you lack discipline, resolve, purpose." He turned to the assembly. "They are a danger to the Concord and to the unity we've forged. Earth should be exiled, removed from the war effort entirely." Another murmur, this one louder. Ambassador Voss stepped forward. "We'll prove you wrong. Grant us one chance, one mission. Let us show you who we are when pushed to the brink." Exorthal's four lips curled in amusement. "One chance? Very well. I have just a challenge." A holographic star map appeared above the chamber's center, zooming into a war-torn system on the galactic rim. "Zarak Prime," he said, "a former mining colony, now overrun with bioterror fauna and remnants of the Vekari brood. It has claimed 6 recon teams from 3 species. None returned. If humans wish to remain in this alliance, survive it, they must reclaim it." The map pulsed red, showing planetary devastation. Acid storms, monster migrations, ruins where cities once stood. A silence fell. Ambassador Voss turned to his aides, then nodded. "We accept." Exorthal blinked slowly. "And how many troops will you deploy? A battalion? A regiment? Or perhaps you'll simply beg us for support when your toy soldiers cry for their mothers?" Voss didn't speak. Instead, he slid a single data chip across the dais. "This is our response." The general inserted it into his console. A holographic profile expanded. "Captain Mira Holt, Special Forces, 12 confirmed Black Ops missions. Honored with the Soul Blade for valor. Current status, volunteered. Solo deployment approved." Exorthal stared at the image. A human woman. Average height, short cropped hair, dark eyes that met the camera with the calmness of a soldier long past fear. "You send one woman?" he asked, voice curling with disbelief. Laughter burst from the audience. "Is this a joke?" hissed a Skorvac delegate. "An insult?" "No," Voss replied. "It's a warning." The laughter died. Exorthal narrowed his eyes. "Very well. We'll transmit the mission feed live to this chamber. We'll watch your warrior be devoured by the planet's horrors. And when she fails, so does Earth." He turned his back on Voss. This session is concluded. As the delegates filed out, a quiet fell over the chamber. Not one of peace, but the tension before a storm. On the far side of the galaxy, in a stealth dropship cutting through black space, Captain Mira Holt opened her eyes. She didn't smile. She didn't pray. She simply checked her weapon, secured her harness, and whispered to herself, "Let's give them a show." The woman in the storm. The atmosphere of Zarak Prime tore at the dropship like a living thing. Captain Mira Holt stood braced inside the hull, arms locked into the metal clamps as the vessel screamed downward through clouds thick with ash and lightning. The outer hull glowed orange from the heat of descent. Warning lights flashed. Alarms blared. The pilot had long since stopped giving updates. He'd been dead silent since she boarded. They all thought she wouldn't make it. Mira grinned, barely. At 30,000 feet, The rear bay door burst open. The howling storm poured in, black rain lashing against her armor. A display on her HUD blinked green. Drop zone approaching. She stepped to the edge, whispered for Earth, and jumped. The sky swallowed her. The landing was brutal. She hit hard, rolling through shattered stone and broken roots. The exosuit absorbed most of the impact, but her shoulder barked in protest. Mira stood quickly, rifle raised, scanning the horizon. Zarak Prime looked worse than the reports. The sky was a churning mass of dark clouds, raining acidic mist that hissed where it touched rock. Trees were twisted spires of black bone, and the ground squelched beneath her boots. The ruins of a mining outpost loomed in the distance, torn metal, scorched walls, and silence. No birds, no wind, just rot. She activated her field AI. "Gideon online," said a dry, sardonic voice in her helmet. "Atmosphere is toxic. Visibility is 50 meters. Hostile life signs detected. Welcome to paradise." "Shut up and mark points of interest," Mira muttered. "Yes, ma'am." As she moved, she recalled the old footage from the failed recon teams. Blurry images of creatures larger than tanks, of soldiers screaming in the dark, begging for extraction that never came. The Empire had sent others here before. All had died. That was the point. They'd never expected her to come back. Mira didn't care. She had grown up in the refugee slums of Europa Dome 7, where food was rationed and nightfall brought gangs and worse. Her parents had died during the Second Solar War. She had survived because she learned not to wait for help. She became the help. Now, she was the sharp edge of humanity's last chance. She moved through the ruins like a ghost, silent and methodical. No panic, no hesitation, just efficient violence when needed. The first contact came within hours. A six-limbed predator burst from a collapsed corridor, skin like iron, eyes glowing blue. It charged with a roar, spittle flying. Mira didn't flinch. 2 shots to the knees, 1 to the skull. It collapsed mid-sprint, sliding to her feet in a cloud of dust. "Target neutralized," Gideon said dryly. "Thanks, I noticed." She carved a path through the ruins, planting motion sensors and drones. With each movement, she learned. Terrain, enemy patterns, environmental hazards. Her map grew, her traps set. The Empire watched it all through her live feed, beamed straight to the Concord Council. Many assumed it was pre-recorded propaganda. General Exorthal observed in silence, arms crossed, jaw tight. "She's still alive," muttered a delegate. Exorthal said nothing. On the 3rd day, she found the truth. Deep in the underhalls of the colony, beneath the mining rigs and shattered lifts, she found a sealed chamber, still drawing power. She cut through the doors with a plasma torch and stepped inside. What she saw stopped her cold. Cages, tubes, medical tables covered in dried blood, and branded on the walls, Imperial Science Division. This wasn't just a dead colony. It had been an experimental site. The creatures weren't native. They were engineered, tested here, weaponized. She recorded everything. Every file, every scream trapped in old audio logs. Then she turned to the camera embedded in her helmet, knowing the council was watching. "This wasn't a test," she said coldly. "It was a cover-up. You sent me here to die with your secrets. But I'm not dying. I'm coming for the truth." That night, as the acid storms roared louder and something huge moved in the distance, Mira sat beneath a rusted tower, eyes sharp, rifle across her lap. She wasn't just surviving. She was preparing, because the war hadn't started yet. But it would. And this time, they'd see what one human woman could do. Blood, fire, and fury. The first explosion lit the sky like a second sun. Mira watched from a distance, crouched behind the jagged remains of a transmission array, her visor dimming automatically against the blast. The enemy had finally come. Not the beasts, not the biohorrors bred in the labs below. This time it was soldiers. Empire soldiers. She'd triggered their fear. 2 dropships screamed overhead, belching fire, and disgorged elite troops in black armor. Oblivion commandos. They fanned out in perfect formation, weapons scanning, voices silent over encrypted comms. Efficient, trained, cold. Looks like the Empire isn't laughing anymore, said Gideon in her helmet. Let's give them a reason to cry, Mira replied. She'd been preparing for this. Over the past 6 days, she'd turned the ruins into a death trap. Mines buried beneath ash, remote turrets jury-rigged from salvage tech, and kill zones marked with thermal tags only she could see. She knew every corridor, every shadow. It was her battlefield now, and the enemy had just walked into her maze. The first squad triggered a trip laser. A wall-mounted EMP detonated, frying their optics. A half-second later, a makeshift rail spike launcher, one of her ugly toys, fired. The lead trooper dropped a metal spike through his visor. Chaos. She moved in silence, flanking through rubble and smoke. Her suppressed rifle spat controlled bursts. 3 more fell before the squad even realized she was inside their perimeter. One turned toward her, gun raised. Too slow. She was faster. She drove her knife through his neck joint, kicked him off, and vanished back into the smoke. 5 down, Gideon noted. You really should have brought a team. I did, Mira said. You. Touching. Elsewhere, on the Imperator Salis, General Exor Thal stared at the live feed with a clenched jaw. She's not supposed to be winning, hissed an aide. She won't, Exor Thal growled. Send, and the aberrants. The aide flinched. But those creatures. Now. An hour later, Mira heard them. Not footsteps. Scraping. Clawing. Skittering. Then the growls low, layered like multiple voices crying through the same throat. She turned and saw them emerge from the shadows. 8 feet tall. Twisted limbs. Dripping black ichor from too many mouths. Aberrants. The worst of the experiments. Mira's breath slowed. She wasn't afraid, but she was outmatched. Still, she didn't run. She ran toward them. A grenade into the first. A flashbang into the second. She ducked, rolled, fired point blank. Blood and acid sprayed across her armor. Her HUD cracked. Pain bloomed in her side. Claws had torn through her plating. She gritted her teeth and kept fighting. This wasn't about survival anymore. It was about making them remember her name. By nightfall, Mira collapsed inside a shattered bunker. Her wounds bled sluggishly. Her armor was cracked, scorched, dented. She had 2 clips left. No medkit, no backup, just a message. She tapped her helmet. Gideon, record. Recording. To the Council, to the Empire, to Earth. Whoever still watched, she spoke. You called us cowards, she said, voice raspy but unshaken. You sent me here to prove your point. To die. Alone. Silenced. She leaned forward, face lit by a single flickering flame. You thought I'd break, but I'm still here. I'm coming back, and I'm not bringing a fleet. Just the truth. And your blood. She ended the recording. Send it. Then she rose. Slow. Bleeding. Burning with purpose. She painted 3 red stripes on her chest plate. 1 for each squad she'd buried. She'd make sure the galaxy remembered what one human woman could do when cornered. When forgotten. When furious. One woman stands. They didn't expect her to make it to the command hub. They'd turned the lower levels into a fortress. Automated turrets, motion sensors, proximity mines, and more than 30 elite guards patrolling narrow corridors. Designed for total containment. But Mira Holt didn't walk through the front gate. She burned through it. A stolen Valkyrie plasma launcher roared on her shoulder, its blue bolt tearing through alloy doors like paper. Screams echoed from the interior as fire spilled through the corridor. She moved in behind the blast, eyes sharp, movements precise, wasting no time. Pain laced her every step. Her armor had been welded shut in places to hold it together. Blood crusted beneath the plates. But she moved like a wraith, silent death wrapped in iron. The Empire's command center on Zarak Prime lay just beyond the blast doors of the control core. Gideon's voice crackled in her helmet, weak but steady. Breached firewall. Live transmission link is open. You're on the air. Good, Mira muttered. Across the galaxy, every member of the Galactic Concord received the feed. The screen flickered in the council chamber. Delegates froze mid-debate as Mira's face appeared. Helmet off, eyes burning with fury. Behind her, the corpses of Empire's soldiers lay in heaps. Smoke curled around her. "This is Captain Mira Holt of Earth," she said. Her voice was hoarse, raw, but it carried like a storm. "I've survived 10 days on Zarak Prime. Alone. No reinforcements. No extraction. You sent me here as a test. No, as a sentence. You called us cowards." She turned the camera to the wall behind her, where the Empire's insignia was spray-painted over grotesque medical diagrams and genetic torture records. "This place wasn't lost to monsters. It created them. Your Empire has been using this world to breed horrors and bury its sins. And when I got too close, they sent killers. Not beasts. Men. Orders. They wanted me dead because the truth is uglier than the war." She faced the camera again. "I'm still here." She looked like hell, bloodied, bruised, armor scorched and cracked. But her eyes were fire. "One woman," she said. "One soldier. And I've torn through your monsters, your squads, your secrets." In the tribunal chamber, General Exorthal stood frozen, his 4 eyes locked on the screen, his fists clenched. She cannot," he began. But it was too late. Mira's broadcast spread across star systems. Back on Zarak Prime, Mira finished transmitting the final data files, weapon logs, audio records, video evidence of living test subjects, of Empire scientists dissecting allies and enemies alike. "Transmission complete," said Gideon. "All files secured in the Concord archive." "You did good," Mira whispered. "I know." The lights in the facility flickered. Sirens wailed. Orbital cannons had begun charging. "They're going to glass the site," Gideon said. "Let them try." Mira made her way to the roof. Wind howled around her, thick with ash and the scent of smoke. Above her, she saw the gleam of the Empire's warship. But something else too, another ship descending fast. A human dropship, rebel-coded. The ramp opened before it landed. Hands reached down. "Captain Holt," someone yelled. "We've got you." For a second, Mira didn't move. Then she climbed in. As the ship lifted off, plasma bolts scorched the ground below, erasing everything. But Mira watched it burn with a cold, satisfied gaze. 3 days later, in a special session of the Galactic Concord, Earth was not expelled. The Empire was. General Exorthal was arrested. The truth had turned the tide. And across hundreds of worlds, new voices rose, not in fear of humanity, but in awe of them. Statues were erected. Songs were written. A single phrase echoed through every broadcast, etched into banners and rebel warships. "One woman warrior is all it takes." Mira Holt stood on a quiet cliff on Earth, overlooking the ocean, armor finally set aside. She wasn't looking for medals. She didn't need parades. She had done what needed to be done. And if they ever came again, well, they already knew how that would end.